Up until a few years ago, I was training to be an Olympic weightlifter. I wanted to be a competitive Olympic weightlifter. I figured it was like the last thing that I still had to do. Started doing Olympic weightlifting when I was like 15, but my focus had always been towards rugby. Just play rugby, just play rugby. And I was curious to see what happened if I would just train Olympic weightlifting pretty hard. And things went pretty well. Took my snatch from like 205 to 250, took my clean and jerk from like 260 to 320, my back squat from, I think, 400 to like about 450, 460. And I was psyched. And then my shoulder essentially just gave up on me, and I was forced to like take a look at what I was doing and how much time I was spending in training. You know, when you're training for Olympic weightlifting as a sport, it's a pretty demanding sport to train for. Competitions are relatively easy. You have 6 lifts and that's it, and your warm-ups are very fast. But when you're training for it, you're spending a lot of time in the gym. Like at the time, I was training 5 days a week, spending at a minimum 2 hours in the gym. You know, and on those tougher weeks, like week 3, week 7, week 10, like the weeks before deloads and like tapering, like the training volume was a lot, or the lifts were very heavy. There were days where I'd easily spend 3 hours in the gym, including warm-ups and cooldowns. And when you account for all the traveling time to the gyms and everything like that, it becomes a solid part-time job to train as much. Like you spend a minimum of 20 hours a week, because on your off days, you're also recovering. You're doing exercises to help with recovery. You know, it is a big endeavor to be a competitive weightlifter. And even though I had some success with my training blocks and I was enjoying the training, I had some lingering issues from playing rugby for so long, and my shoulders just eventually just couldn't take it anymore. So I was forced to like take a step back and look at what I was doing, and I started doing the math of how I was improving at the velocity that I was improving. And I just realized, just like, shit, for me to just make it to the open, qualify for nationals, is gonna take several years, you know, and from then to actually like do anything interesting with the sport, we're talking about a 5-6 year commitment here. You know, maybe 4 to, call it 3 to 5. You know, that's a big time commitment. Like I'm almost 30 now, and I was just like, you know, let's just back off. We've had our chance, we've had our fun. I was getting into coaching as well and started really enjoying that. So that's honestly the main reason. In addition to all of this, when you look at the landscape of the sport and the people who actually have success in the sports, you see that they've taken it seriously for a lot longer than I would have. You know, like I said, I started doing it when I was 15 as a complement to rugby because I needed strength training and I was friends with people who did the sport. You know, but just recently, Olivia Reeves won the gold medal at the Olympics. She's not even 20, I think. You know, so it's like, for once, I understand that maybe 5 years wouldn't have been that big of a commitment. I would have been like 33 at the time, 34 at the time. Not crazy. Could have done it, you know. But for me, in where I was seeing my career going and the other responsibilities that I had in my life, the time that I was spending doing that was just not worth it. And that's what it boiled down to, genuinely. You know, when I decided to dive into the sport, I dove in hard. You know, I read as much as I could. I attended seminars. I got certified as an Olympic weightlifting coach. You know, I did everything in my power to just continue to learn more about the sport because I don't know, that's just the way I am. And that's the way I like approaching things that I do. And for anyone wondering whether they should try it, for everyone on the fence about giving Olympic weightlifting a chance, like, do it. You know, it's a fun sport for once. Once you get into like the very serious side of it, it stops being a little fun because it just becomes very monotonous and very, you know, time consuming. And like I said, the training is very hard. But for the most part, it's a fun thing to learn. You know, it's not for everyone. It is one of those like shitty sports in the sense that if you're not built for it, you're just gonna struggle a little bit. You know, it's a very, very technique demanding sport. You know, and it's just like the perfect mixture between strength, like athleticism, and just like being able to just sit there doing the same thing over and over again and being willing to tweak every single thing until it comes out right. But yeah, not to mention the fact that it's amazing as a complement for other sports. There's so many variants to the lifts. You have the power variants, then you can make complexes with them. All the strength with the revolves around the sports and all the research that we know about strength comes from Olympic weightlifting. So like the roots of the sport are so engraved in the whole world of strength that people don't even realize that. It was like where like sports science was almost born, when people actually started paying attention to how they progressively overload their training. You know, how to handle intensities, how to peak, how to deload, when do you need to peak, when do you need to deload, what are the benefits of going in these cycles and actually training with a lot more thought behind what you're doing. Overall, it's an amazing sport, and part of me, even to this day, wishes that, you know, maybe I shouldn't have focused on rugby for so long. I had this other avenue that I used to express myself and I genuinely did enjoy it, I could have just run with that. But you know, maybe I wouldn't be here today, so it's hard to tell. But yeah, that's my story with Olympic weightlifting. And I haven't stopped doing it. You know, like I'll still run blocks every now and then of like 8 weeks of just snatching, 8 weeks of just cleaning, things like that. I squat every week. Like I probably haven't missed a week of squatting in like a solid 3 years at this point. You know, it's good training. It's things that are good for you and things that are fun to do. So like, yeah, learn it once, never forget it, keep revisiting. And yeah, that's it. All right, and that's the video. As always, thank you for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. Hey everyone, if you're interested in becoming a better athlete or just living a healthier life, I have put together a 10 email series with just like the main things that you should be aware of in order to have a successful career or just stay in good shape for the rest of your life. You know, training is not complicated, like it's genuinely not. We're always repeating just the basics. So if you're interested in this, sign up below. It'll be 10 actionable steps or things that you can start using right now to help you improve. Yeah, thanks for watching.
It is important to draw wisdom from many different places. If we take it from only one place, it becomes rigid and stale. Understanding others, the other elements, and the other nations will help you become whole.